Good morning, everybody. Let's
Morning, sir.
wait for everyone or we'll start the class. We'll start the class. Okay, guys, did you do the homework questions?
I tried, sir.
Right, huh? Okay, which all did you not get? You can start with those. You can see the screen, right, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. So the first one, did you guys do that? Log x plus 1 base 2x. Sorry, 1 by log x plus 1 base 2x. We need to find the domain of this. So what do we say here? 2x is not equal to 1. 2x greater than 0. X plus 1 greater than 0. So this will fetch me x not equal to 1 by 2, x greater than 0, and here x greater than minus 1. So this is not required because this is there. Okay, x greater than minus 1, x greater than 0. The intersection will be x greater than 0 alone. All right. So x greater than 0, x not equal to half. Is this the answer? Guys, am I going too fast or are you following?
This is what I got, sir.
Okay, but then there's one problem. There's one problem. The denominator should not be 0. Okay, log 2x, x plus 1 should not be equal to 0. Don't forget. So that means, what does that mean? X plus 1 should also not be equal to 1. If this is 1 only, anything raised to 0 is 1. Okay, that's the idea. Okay, so here x should not be 0 as well. Okay. Right. So it can't take any values which is 0. So the answer will be 0 to infinity because x should be greater than 0. And then half should be removed from it. That's the same answer you're getting. So is this the answer you're getting?
Yes, sir.
I did. The rest of you, what's up? Why so quiet? Okay, guys, do you have any doubts in the homework? Please ask. We'll give you 20 seconds.
Sir, I wasn't able to do the second one.
Second one, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Second one is this one, right?
Yes, sir.
2 minus 3. This will be x square minus 5x plus 13. Okay. A square minus 4ac will be less than 0. Okay, fine. So first is 2 of this thing minus 3 should be greater than 0. So fractional part of x should be greater than 3 by 2.
Sir,
Okay.
but this is greatest integer function, no, sir?
No, this is fractional part function.
Oh, and okay, that's where I got stuck, sir. I thought it was greatest integer function.
Yeah, okay, got it.
I got confused between the brackets.
No problem. But then now make sure you don't get confused between the brackets. Okay. So think of it like this here. Like this I is there, right? Integer I. Huh?
Yes, sir.
You break it into two parts. You have this thing, integral part function. Okay. You understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just think like that. As in, that's what I do. Okay, that's what I did. So if this helps, use it. All right. Now, and fractional part function will be that curly this thing. Or once you start practicing, it will be done here. It's not a big deal. Okay. Okay, so You got that, right? Fractional part function cannot be greater than 3 by 2 because fractional part function lies between 0 and 1. Okay. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
0 and 1 is where fractional part function lies between. Now, fractional part function here should be greater than 3 by 2 for this to exist. So it's not possible. There will not be any solution. That's it. Got this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, any other doubts? Any other doubts? Any other doubts, guys? Or shall we move on?
No, no doubt, sir.
No doubts? Okay. Let's just continue solving some questions. So today I'll just keep giving you questions, okay? That's the idea. Do you remember what signum function is? Signum function?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do something related to signum function. Is there any question? Okay, guys, tell me this. Integral part of x will come out to what? Let's do some interesting stuff with integral part function. So integral part of x will come out to
integral part
of
x.
Correct. Very good. All right. Guys, you have to understand that this is an integer, integral part of x. And the integral part of the integer, of any integer, will be that same integer itself. Okay. That's the idea here. Next. What about this? Quickly. Guys, the second one. What about the second one?
0.
Fractional part of an integer will be 0. Just think like that. Okay, guys, I need more responses. The next one. Fractional part of x. What will that come up to?
So
Fractional part.
Fractional part of x. Integral part of fractional part of x. What does that come up to?
0.
0 again. Okay. Fractional part of x will be a value between 0 and 1. And if you take the integral part of that value, okay, you will get 0. Okay. All right. Hope you guys got that. Then can you tell me this? I think we did this last time, but f of x plus f of minus x equal to guys, when in doubt, right? If you are not getting the answer, just plug in values for x. See what happens. So just plug in minus 2.5. What happens? This becomes okay. Put x equal to 2.5. What happens to f of x? It becomes 2. And for minus 2.5, what does it become?
Minus 3.
Minus 3. And then the sum becomes minus 1. Okay. Suppose I put an integer. I put 3 and minus 3 here. What did it come up to? The sum?
0.
0.
0. So from here you can say that this is minus 1 when x is not an integer and x is 0, and this is 0 when x is an integer. Got it? All right. So whenever you get that f of x plus f of minus x equal to minus 1, you know that it's not an integer. Whenever you get it as 0, you should know that it is an integer. All right, move ahead. Okay, this one. Okay, since you're not planning to respond, give the answer straight away. Okay, figure this out on your own. Yes, 0 when it's an integer. Okay, fractional part function is a function which returns values from 0 to 1. Both. Okay, fractional part of anything returns value from 0 to 1. When you add both of them up to get 0, it means individually both of them had to be 0. Okay, both are positive, both are non-negative, right? And when you add two non-negative values, you are expecting a positive value. If you get 0, it means it's only one case is possible. When both of the non-negative values you added were already positive. So were already 0, sorry. Okay. So that means when do we get fractional part of x as 0 and fractional part of minus x is 0? When the x inputted is an integer. Okay, so that's why you're getting 0 here. Now when it's not an integer, you get 1. Okay, just figure that out on your own. Like, you know it's a value between 0 and 1, and it's a value between 0 and 1. So for sure, you won't get minus 1 negative values. Okay, figure out how you get 1. Right? And suppose I is an integer. Okay, tell me if this is true or false. I is an integer. Tell me if this is true or false. True or false?
False, sir. False, sir.
False. Correct. Put x equal to 0.2 and I equal to 10. What do you get here? You get 5. But what is I into this? 10 into f of 0.2, which is 0. Right? In one case you get 5, other case you get 0. You can clearly see that they are not the same. Okay, so just be very careful of these transitions. Okay, don't directly go for this. So this is not equal to this, and false will be the right answer. Okay. Now, let's do a little with graphs. All right, do a bit with graphs. This is some graph y equal to f of x. What I want you to tell me is y equal to f of minus x. What will that graph look like? Okay, so what happened here? X became minus x. How will the graph of that look? I taught you this in the last class actually, but I want to see how many of you remember. X becomes minus x. Then what happens?
It will come on the other side of all the x values.
Exactly. Like, what will happen is that you will take a mirror image of that.
Yes, sir. That's what I meant.
Okay. So what is the mirror here? Y-axis acts as mirror. Okay. Mirrored on the y-axis. Okay. That's what happens. You take the reflection on the y-axis. Got it? Now this is the first case. When x becomes minus x. Okay, you just change the direction of the whole thing. It's simple. You know why that's happening, right, guys? Do you have any doubts on why that happens?
No, sir.
Like any graph, this will work, okay. So suppose x is equal to 1. When I say f of minus x at x equal to 1, you're expecting f of minus 1. Okay, so f of minus 1 was here. So f of minus x will be plotted accordingly. Okay, so like this. And then if you take the value 2, you're looking for f of x equal to f of minus 2. Okay, that will be somewhere here. So you mark that out here. Like that, you plot the points. Okay, you'll get the same thing. Whatever from that side is there, you'll take it to this side. That's the idea. Okay, I hope that was clear. Second part is, actually, you can use this opportunity. Introduce sin inverse x. Have you heard of this function? Sin inverse x?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know how to get the inverse of a graph? Like
No,
inverse
sir.
function. Any function is given to you, you're asked to find the inverse.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
the
sir.
trick is simple. Trick is simple, okay. Suppose you're given a y equal to f of x. Like y equal to 3x plus 1. And you're asked to find what? F inverse x equal to what? In the inverse function. So what you do is, here you wrote y in terms of x, right? To find the inverse, you write x in terms of y. All right, so I'm teaching you inverse right now. Listen very carefully, okay? You have to put x in terms of y. So what will that become? X becomes equal to y minus 1 by 3. All right, any doubts here?
No, sir.
Okay, so y is equal to, x equal to y minus 1 by 3. This is actually the inverse function, as simple as that. Once you write x in terms of y, you have the inverse. But then they're asking your f inverse in terms of x. So simply what you'll do is, f inverse x will be equal to, right, instead of y, you replace it with x. Okay? Because otherwise it's actually the same equation given in the beginning. Okay? So x minus 1 by 3 you write, and then you get the graph like this. Okay? I hope you guys got this. But the point I was trying to say is that whatever graph you draw, suppose sin inverse x, okay, is the inverse function of f of x equal to sin x. Okay, so the thing about sin x is that you go like this. Okay, but understand that we are looking. Okay, so one thing I should have explained before explaining this thing. Inverse of a function, but that's okay. Deal with what we have. Okay. So just remember that for sine, I'll tell you why later. For sine, okay, for any function, like sine, where it keeps on repeating, you really can't define an inverse function. Okay, whichever function is periodic, it keeps on repeating. You cannot define a inverse function, but they made it in a way such that you can define a inverse function. So they took it within the principal domain. You know what principal domain is, right? For sine, it is minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Just understand this. They restricted the domain to minus pi by 2 and plus pi by 2. Okay. All right. For sine, they do that. For cos, they'll go from 0 to pi. That will be the principal domain. Just remember this much. Did you get this? Did you get this much? Guys, there's something called principal domain, which I'm asking you to remember. Okay, I'm not teaching you anything right now. Okay, principal domain for sine will be minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. For cos, it will be 0 to pi. This much can you remember?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, what I'm asking you is to find the inverse of this. Okay, so when we take the inverse, we take only within the principal domain. All right, so here all values are covered from minus 1 to 1. All values are covered. So this is a good principal domain. Okay, to find the inverse, what we do is we make y equal to x the mirror. Okay, You following? Y equal to x is the mirror. Okay. All right. Or for another example, let's look at this line 3x plus 1. Y equal to 3x plus 1, right? Put x equal to 0, you get y equal to 1. Put y equal to 0, you get x equal to minus 1 by 3. Okay. You get this? Okay, so we'll just draw the y equal to x line. And then what do we do, guys? To find the inverse, we draw the mirror image of the line about y equal to x. We make y equal to x the mirror. Okay, so this should be x minus 1 by 3. Okay, y equal to x minus 1 by 3 line. That's the idea I'm trying to say here. Got it? When you have y equal to x as the mirror for a straight line, look, straight line doesn't keep repeating like this. Sin x, you can see, okay, there's a periodicity about this. Just keeps repeating on both sides. Same for cos x. You take this graph and shift it towards the side a little bit. Okay. So that's why we look for domain. We cut this much out. We cut this much out. And from this part alone, we take the domain. All right, principal domain. But for a straight line, it's not a repeating thing. It's just a straight line. It just goes on forever in one direction. So what I do is to find f inverse. Did you get this? I just write x in terms of y. Sorry, yeah, x in terms of y, and then replace y with x. And then it comes out to be the same thing. That's the idea here, guys. Got it? So you get 3y equal to x minus 1. Put x equal to 0, y equal to x equal to 0, y equal to minus 1 by 3. It works out. Okay. Put y equal to 0, you get x equal to 1. Okay. Sorry, this will be 1 comma 0. Did you guys follow what I was saying?
Yes, sir.
Do you need another explanation?
No, sir.
Have you noted it down, what I mentioned right now for inverse? We'll get there again. But is this okay for now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
How to find inverse? Like it's simple, right? Like put y equal to x as the mirror. That's it. If you want to find graphically. If you want to find algebraically, write x in terms of y. And then replace it with x. So replacing it with x has the same idea. Look, this line here is y equal to x. So that is why the replacing with x works. Okay, did you understand? All right. So, wait. Let's move on to the next transformation. Y becomes minus y. Okay. So, an example would be y equal to e power x. You know the graph of e power x? You go like
Yes,
this.
sir.
Okay. Now I replace y with minus y. Y is minus y equal to e power x. All right. All right. Minus y equal to e power x. Y is equal to minus e power x. How do you draw this graph? This graph?
Sir, same thing below the x-axis.
Exactly. Okay. So y is the same quantity, but the sign is negative. Okay. So y, instead of it being positive, it will be negative. All right. So you will get a similar graph like this. Forgive the graph drawing skills, but I hope you can get the point here. Okay. Y equal to minus e power x will be this one here. Okay. So here what happens? X-axis is the mirror. Got it? Is any doubts here?
No, sir.
Okay, next is x becomes x minus a. What changes? I think you know this already. Shifting of axis. When x becomes x minus a, what happens? You've done conic sections, right? Straight lines, conic sections in 11th.
Yes, sir, we have.
But do you know shifting of origin?
No, sir.
No. Okay. I was expecting a yes. That's why I was waiting. All right. Sorry. So x becomes x minus a. So what happens here? You draw any graph. All right. You draw any graph, whatever it is. When I say x becomes x minus a, so this is y equal to fx. Okay. So how do I draw y equal to f of x minus a? What do I do? If this much length is a, what I'll simply do is I'll take the same graph. Okay, I should have drawn a much easier graph. My bad. You understand what I did here? I took the graph and placed it a units ahead. Okay. I took the graph and brought it forward by a units. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Took the graph and bring it forward by a units, and there I have y equal to f of x minus a. What happens if I go for y equal to f of x plus a? What happened here?
Shift CA units leftwards.
Exactly. Okay. It goes this way. I hope this single graph is not confusing you guys too much. Okay. So this is f of x plus a, f of x, and f of x minus a. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Like simplest example would be like f of x equal to x. What will I do? F of x equal to x means what? Y equal to x9. What is f of x minus a? That will be x minus a. Where do you draw the graph? X minus a, y equal to x minus a. First, try to construct y equal to x minus a as if you didn't know this theory. Okay. How do you draw y equal to x minus a? You put x equal to 0. What do you get the point as? Y equal to minus a. Okay. So let this be y equal to minus a. This is one point. Put y equal to 0. What do you get x as? X equal to a. Okay, so you should be able to see this graph coming up ahead. Okay. So whenever you see whenever you replace x with x minus a, you're basically moving it a units forward. Okay. Basically, that origin, you see the origin right here, becomes the point a comma 0 in this transition. Okay, it's something like that. That is what I said, shifting of origin. Okay. Now, if I say f of x plus a, you know what to do. Y is equal to x plus a. So then, what will happen is, you put x equal to 0, y equal to plus a. Okay, put y equal to 0, x equal to minus a. So, minus a comma 0, 0 comma plus a. So, this becomes f of x plus a, which is nothing but x plus a. Y equal to x plus a. Got it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Guys, any doubts? Any doubts here? Please ask if anything. Alright, so remember this, guys, this is very important. That's why I'm reiterating. X becomes x minus a, you're moving forward if a is positive. Okay. X becomes x plus a, you're moving backwards if a is negative. If a is negative, what happens if you do x equal to x minus a? I'm trying to confuse you guys so that your concepts are solid now. If a is negative, what happens if you do an x becoming x minus a?
It becomes y is equal to f of x plus a.
No, A is negative already. So it becomes x equal to x minus A only. But then what happens to the graph? Does it go forward or does it go backward? That's what I'm asking.
Backwards, sir.
Backwards, sir.
Exactly. We treat it like an x plus A case because here we are assuming that A is positive. Don't forget, okay? We are moving A units forward or backward accordingly. That's what we'll do by convention also normally. But in this case, if A was negative, you're going the opposite directions. Okay, that should be clear. Now, y becomes y minus k. Can you guys tell me what happened? Y equal to y minus k. More questions?
Sir, the graph shifts in the forward direction.
You're trying with the line, right? Try with another
Yes, sir.
something else. Try with the quadratic. A line can be very confusing to explain using this. But once you understand this one, then you will understand why a line works out that way. Okay. Why you said it's moving in the forward direction. What you said is actually correct in case of a line alone. Okay. Okay, so that's correct in the case when it's a line. Otherwise, what is it? What happens here? What happens when y becomes y minus k, guys? Okay, let's take a simple example, guys. Y equal to x square. Okay, now try, no?
K units upwards.
Lovely. Okay, y equal to x square plus k is the modification here. Okay, I replace y with y minus k, right? So, it becomes y equal to x square plus k. So here you can imagine it. Okay, y equal to x square is here. If k is the positive value, y equal to x square plus k should come like this. All right. Are you guys getting this? Where this point is necessarily 0 comma k. Okay, that's the idea. Okay, you put x equal to 0, you get y equal to k. So the origin moves. So origin moves this way means the graph moves. Okay, graph moves k units upwards. Okay, so guys, did you understand why this works? I move the k to that side, the value of y increases. All right. Now, if I take a straight line, who said straight? Who was answering the straight line part?
Me, sir.
Okay, Aditya. Okay, so listen carefully. Okay, so just y is equal to x is a line. Now I'm looking at y minus k equal to x, y equal to x plus k. All right. So here what happens is this becomes a line. Okay, y equal to x plus k. You're replacing x with x plus k. That's what happens. Okay. So you're moving k units backwards. But the thing is, when you move k units backwards, right? you're also shifting it k unit upwards. It's the same thing because you're comparing it with this line, y equal to x line. Okay, relative to this, you can look at it in two ways. You can look at it as going this way or this way because it's just a parallel line like this. You are imagining the movement. Is it like this or is it like this? Either way, it's the same line. Are you guys getting this image?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You got why you got this answer, right? As moving k unit forward or backward. Because it's a line parallel to it. Okay. Now, in case of this one, what is happening? You simply take the k to the other side. So y equal to f of x, you have whatever function it is. If you write y minus k equal to f of x, like change y to y minus k, y becomes simply f of x plus k. Okay, you add k to every point of f of x. That's the idea. Got it? So you're moving k units upwards. Now, if y becomes y plus k, what happens, guys?
K units downwards.
K units downwards. Okay, just figure the logic out when you get the time. Got it? All right. We have given you enough content to figure it out on your own. Okay. Do you have any doubts here? Any doubts? This is important. You'll have to use this again and again and again in any type of graph related questions. Any doubts here, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. So when you combine this with wavy curve method, right? And you can draw close to any graph you want. All right. Okay. You don't need to combine it with wavy curve method also. There'll be a base function that you know. You should know that, okay, in this question, they're just simply adding k to x or subtracting k from y. Okay, just deal with those cases. So that base function, you just shift it here and there. All right, you'll be able to draw graphs of almost anything this way. Okay, so this is pretty useful. Note this down carefully. If you didn't understand, you can still ask me doubts later. This is very important. That's right. Okay, so I would like you to ask doubts, but let's see whether you do or not. Now, what if you multiply all values by k? Then what happens? Like suppose sin x became sin 3x. And you have the graph of sin x. Okay, so this will be pi. This will be 2 pi. 2 pi, 4 pi, etc. Okay. So when I write instead of sin x, I write it as sin 3x. What happens?
So the value shift.
Sir,
Yes.
the points at which it becomes 0 gets divided by 3.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. That's the right way of thinking. Basically, every point on the x-axis gets divided by 3. That's the idea. Okay. All right. What you said is perfectly sound. That's how even I use it to think. All right. But the idea is actually every point gets divided by 3 on the x-axis. Okay. Because sin x becomes 0 at x equal to 0, x equal to pi, x equal to 2 pi, and so on. But sin 3x becomes 0 at 3x equal to 0, 3x equal to pi, 3x equal to 2 pi. Getting it? So x should be 0, like sin 3x will be 0 at x equal to pi by 3, 2 pi by 3, and so on. So this is where you should get the idea that you're dividing all the points on the x-axis by 3. The y-axis remains untouched. It's going between -1 and 1. Followed? Following this? Here, divide all the points on x-axis by k. Right. Now, what if y becomes k into I?
So does it get multiplied?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So you have y equal to sin x. Let's use the same example. And then 2y equal to sin x. Okay. So I'll write y equal to 1 by 2 into sin x. So the x-axis, nothing changes. Understand that. Wherever sin x is 0, sin x divided by 2 will also become 0, right? Okay. So x-axis, nothing really changes. What changes? The amplitude of this wave. Okay. So here it's nothing but divide y-axis by k. So here, when I make it 1 by 2, you're basically, instead of going from 1 to minus 1, you make sure it goes from half to minus half. Okay, within this, everything will be there. Got it? It's a horrible graph, but yeah. You get the idea?
Yes, sir.
Hey, these are like critically important for the rest of your year. Alright, so please try to understand this properly. If you have a solid understanding of this, I don't think geometry or calculus should be much of an issue. Like this is the base beginning. Okay, so you should be aware of all these at the tips of your finger, at the tip of your tongue. It should be there. All of this. Okay. Now, try something else. Y is equal to f of x becomes y is equal to f of mod x. What changes? So suppose y equal to f of x went like this. Okay. What about y equal to f of mod x? How do you draw the graph of this? How do you draw the graph of this? Look at the input f is getting. The first case it was x. The second case it was mod x. Basically, the input cannot be negative in the second case. Got that much?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you put x equal to minus 1, okay, if you put x equal to minus 1 here, when I transform it to this side, I will never be getting minus 1 as an input of f because the mod function converts it to plus 1. Okay. And at the point minus 1, I should get f of 1 itself. Okay. So f of 1 should come here. All right. So like this, I mark f of 1. What about minus 2? So I'll mark f of 2 out and then give that to f of minus 2. Got it? Are you understanding what's happening here? If I put f of minus 3, okay, y equal f of minus 3 will be here. Okay, this is y equal f of minus 3. But when I say f of mod x, f of mod minus 3 is f of 3. Okay, so this value will come in place of this. Okay, so I'm getting this one's mirror on this side. Okay, getting it? Guys, are you following? It will never have a negative input. So I can just delete all this from my mind. Okay, whatever negative inputs are given, it will never happen in the second case. So I'll just delete that. And simply copy this part across to this for the negative part and the positive part. What? Mod x is equal to x itself. Alright, don't forget. Mod x is x itself. So if I put 1 here, it'll be 1. F of 1 is f of 1. Okay. Are you understanding what's happening here, guys?
Sir, but we still have a negative part, right, sir? Like,
No. Look. X can take negative values. Mod x can't take negative values. Okay.
okay.
Alright. So x can take any value at once. That's the beauty of this. That mod x makes you think, okay, no negative is possible. No, x can be negative. Just that mod x cannot be negative. Because of that, there will be changes in this. Okay. So what are the changes? Write the changes down. 2 steps. 1. Negative part of x. Like f of negative input. It's taken out. Okay, taken out completely. Then mirror on y-axis the remaining graph. All right. Forgive the handwriting, but just write it down. Mirror on the y-axis the f of mod x. Like what are the positive values are there as inputs? Okay. The graph where x is greater than 0. Just greater than equal to 0. 0 doesn't matter. Okay, let's see. What is there? Oh yeah. How many did we do now? What happens if y becomes minus y? Sorry. Very good. What if y becomes mod y? Y equal to f of x becomes mod y equal to f of x. Okay, what happens to the graph here? Suppose the graph went like this, y equal to log x. Mod y equal to log x. What will happen here? Guys, what will happen here?
Sir, everything will be above x-axis.
It's the same confusion you're having there. Why can't y not take negative values? Why can't y take negative values? Yeah. Mod is outside y, right?
Sir, or will there be two graphs?
How?
Plus or minus f of x?
Huh?
Like, will it be two?
Right. There should be 2 parts. Yeah.
So,
So we mirror the positive part over the x-axis, same as last time, but like reverse.
There's something like this.
And
Okay.
its reflection.
This is the y equal to f of x
Positive
when
part.
y greater than 0. Okay, this is the first part. The problem is when I say y equal to f of x, when y less than 0, I will get minus y here because there's a mod outside. Okay. Mod y equal to minus y when y less than 0 because minus or negative value will be positive. That's the idea. Okay. So minus y equal to f of x when y is less than 0. It's nothing but y equal to minus f of x. Got it? Okay. So the negative of f of x here. That's the idea. This f of x when y is greater than 0, this will be the negative of that. Got it? Is this what he meant?
Yes, sir.
Same thing. Then it's correct.
Isn't this basically the mod function over a different point? Like we have that V graph centered at the origin, but this is just centered differently.
Yes. Look at it that way. Absolutely. But be aware, okay, that this is not a function anymore. When I say mod y equal to f of x, it stops being a function. Why? For a value of x, there will be two values of y. We discussed the conditions for a function, right? Till now, everything else was a perfectly fine function. Okay, in all these above cases. Okay, this one also, because this is the next graph. I just drew both on the same graph. But here, when I say mod of y equal to f of x, this stops being a function. Did you guys understand why?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I will practice questions on this. Okay, draw the graph of y equal to mod ln x. Let's start. Start doing questions. Draw graph of y equal to mod ln x. You know how ln x goes, right? So this is how you solve problems generally, okay? Ln x, you should know the graph. It goes like this. Mod of ln x, what will happen? Go up like this. Are you following? Mod ln x means y cannot be negative. Okay, so wherever the negative values come, it will be correspondingly positive. That's the idea. Basically, I like that y equal to ln x when ln x is positive. Y equal to minus ln x when ln x is negative. This is the definition of this. Okay. Got this? Please ask doubts if you have. Since you're not responding, I'm just moving on. All right. Now, y is equal to mod tan inverse x. Can you try to draw the graph of tan inverse x? I'll tell you the principal domain. Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Tan, you know, is a function that keeps on repeating. Okay. Such functions are called periodic functions. Okay. So we really don't find inverse for periodic function. So we just find the principal domain, and within that, we find the inverse. Okay. So y equal to mod tan x. How do you draw that? Y is equal to tan x. Sorry. Mod tan inverse x is the question. So you draw y equal to x graph. You let this mirror. All right. You draw y equal to tan inverse x graph, and then let this mirror y equal to x graph, and then let this mirror. You get y equal to tan inverse x graph. Okay. This is y equal to tan inverse x graph. Now what do you need? Y equal to mod tan inverse x graph. How do you do that? If you don't understand, please watch the video again. Okay. Mod tan inverse x graph means you won't let this become negative. Y cannot be negative. Okay, so you bring that up. This together with this is mod tan inverse x graph. All right. So take a look at it, copy it down. Go on to the next question. Guys, please do this on your own. Tell me what shape it is. X square minus 4. Mod of x square minus 4. Y equal to mod of x square minus 4. Please draw the graph quickly. Come on. Where is x square minus 4? Please try to draw the graph. Did you draw anything? I'm actually not enjoying this unresponsiveness, okay? Because if you guys can respond, it would be good for the class. Like the overall learning will improve. But if you're not willing to respond, then yeah, class will still continue. Right? So x square minus 4 goes like this with the roots at -2 and +2. But the thing is, y cannot be negative because there's a mod outside x square minus 4. Wherever there's a negative part, it will be correspondingly positive, and this becomes your final graph. Okay, a W shape. Ask me doubts if you didn't get it. We're continuing anyway. Y equal to e power minus mod x. Draw the graph of this. Okay. This first I'll draw e power x graph. Okay, this is e power x graph. Y equal to e power x graph. So y equal to e power minus x. What will that look like? Like this, y equal to e power minus x. Now what are they asking? Y equal to e power minus mod x, right? So what happens? X cannot take a negative value. So basically, this part we'll ignore. Okay. And then the corresponding positive values will be brought about here. Okay, so this will be how the graph will look. Any doubts here, guys?
No, sir.
Okay, I thought I was solving it pretty fast, but okay, nice.
Sir,
You
I
have it?
have a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yes, ask.
Is it not the graph of e power x, but then the question asked is e power minus?
Yes. So, I thought of starting with what we know. That's the idea. Okay. Like, suppose I give some complicated equation, like much more complicated than this. What you do is start with the basic of what you know, e power x. You know the graph is like this. Was that the question you were asking?
No, sir. In the question, we have e power minus of x mod x, and then we drew the graph of e power x.
Yeah. So from e power x, I moved on to what do I move on to? E power minus x. Because then I just mirror it here. Okay. I know this is not closest to this. This is closer to this. Okay. Because on top of this graph, once I have the shape of this graph, which is like this, okay, I can just add a mod to x. Here to here, it's nothing but x becoming what? Mod x. All right. Got it?
Yes,
So we
sir.
are tending towards, like, so from something we know, we are going towards something we don't know right now. Okay. So here I'll replace x with minus x first. Then I'll put a mod on top of x. Once I do it with minus x, I just see how the graph looks. It'll be like this. Okay. But then once I put a mod, I know that x, all the negative values of x, right? Will be going as positive values into this function. Okay. All the negative values for x will be a waste. Because it will go as a positive value, e power minus some positive value. So whatever positive value was here will be the same value here. Got it?
Yes, sir. Got it.
So if I put a minus here, how will the graph change? If I put a minus here, how will the graph change? I'm asking all of you. If I put a minus here, how will this blue-purple graph change?
Minus where, sir?
Sorry?
Where are you putting the minus, sir?
Here. Y equal to minus e raised to minus mod x. So the question was e power minus mod x, right? I just changed that to minus of e power minus mod x. What happens here?
Sir, we basically like flip over because all of the values will become negative.
Exactly. All these values will become negative. and this will become your answer. Okay, you get something like this below. Right, this one will be mirrored across. Okay, fold it down. Okay, that's the right answer. That's the right answer. You have passed the test. Now, something you will come across many times. Y equal to mod sin x. What's the graph? Guys, what's the graph? What's the graph of mod sin x? You will come across this many times. You must have come across this many times by now also.
So will all the negative parts get flipped to the top, like in that parabola question?
So, okay, first I'll draw sin x. Okay. So, sin x is here. All the negative parts get flipped over to the top. Absolutely. Okay. So the graph will be like this. All right, just keep on going like this. Are you following? Guys, are all of you following? Mod sin x will be between 0 and 1. Okay, guys. Any doubts here? Mod sin x is between 0 and 1. Do you have any doubts here?
No, sir.
All right. I hope all of you understood how the negative part flips over because of the modulus. Now, I'll ask the next part of this question. Y is equal to sin mod x. Y is equal to sin mod x. What happens here? First draw what you know. Okay. Draw only what you know, which is sin x. And then try to figure out what changes. Okay. Then only this becomes fun. Draw what you know and then figure out what changes. Right. I'll tell you a next question also. The next question will be mod y equal to sin x. Okay. Come on. Solve this, solve this. Sin of mod x, what happens? When x is greater than 0, it is nothing but sin x itself. That's the first thing you have to understand.
Sir,
Okay. Yeah, tell me. Go for it.
sir, the left side of the graph becomes the mirror image of the right side of the graph.
Lovely. Okay. So the idea here is x, when it's positive, this function is y equal to sin x only, nothing else. Okay. But when x is negative, what happens? The mod makes it positive. Okay. So we can delete all, like sin x, we know how the graph is. Okay. It just goes like this. Okay. But then we can delete all of this. That's what this mod x does. But then, not only should we delete, we have to add something else there. What? Whatever is there on the positive side. So we copy that across neatly here. Understood why it's a mirror image? Okay. Okay, you have to understand why this works. Can we move on to the next question? If you have any doubts, please ask also. Please move on to the next question. guys, what are you eating?
I'm getting. I didn't really understand the last parts how we broke it down. It's getting a bit.
No, that is the confusing part. It's definitely the confusing part. Okay, now just look at this graph. No, just look at mod y. Look at the equation. Mod of y equal to sin x. If sin x is 0, it's fine. Mod y equal to 0 can work. Now, if sin x is positive, mod y equal to sin x should work. Okay. If sin x is negative, can mod y be equal to sin x where sin x is negative?
No, sir.
Not possible, right? So, from the graph of sin x, I'm just drawing it at the end, we ignore all the parts where it's negative. Got it? That's step number 1. Okay. All right. We ignore parts where it is negative. So then there'll be a gap here, a gap here, and a gap here. Okay. Fine. This is y equal to sin x, where sin x is positive. Okay. But this is not the question here. Okay, sin x has to be positive, but this becomes what? Plus or minus y. Okay. All right. So how do I draw minus y equal to sin x when sin x is positive? I take the mirror of this. Okay. Please don't get confused here. Read the theory you wrote before. I take the mirror of this as well. So both these graphs combined, plus and minus y equal to sin x, where sin x is greater than 0, will be the definition of this. Are you following? So this upper part and lower part. So basically, what you drew here is not a function. It's okay if it's not a function here, because you're putting a mod on y. The second you put a mod on y, you're defining two functions. That's the idea. Okay. Y equal to f of x. You put mod y equal to f of x, you are actually defining two functions there. As simple as that. And you would ignore all the parts where f of x is less than 0, because you're talking about mod. Okay. LHS is positive, literally means RHS must be positive. If it's negative, ignore. Are you following, or am I going too fast?
Following, sir.
Following,
Following?
sir.
Okay. I hope this is clear enough. All right. Let's move ahead. Shall we? I had a good question. Draw the graph of this y equal to mod of mod x minus 1. Y equal to mod of mod x minus 1. Come on, quickly. How do you go about this question? Y equal to mod x first. Then mod x minus 1 is, what do you do? You bring it down 1 unit. Right? All right. Or you can write it as y plus 1 equal to mod x. Okay, so you bring it down 1 unit. And then you're looking for mod of this. So what do you do now?
So we take off the negative part, which is that small triangle below the origin, and then
And
mirror
then
that above.
mirror that up, and then you have this W-shaped stuff. Okay, there'll be an answer. Right? Guys, I want you to feel powerful enough to solve anything you like, solve at least the graph of anything you want. Okay, that's the point of this class today. All right, that's why I'm going so slowly over this. Generally, people complete this in like 15 minutes and move ahead. But is this clear, guys? We will be using this again and again. That's why.
Yes, sir.
I want you to understand this fully at the beginning. So that whenever a problem like this comes, you can just get the graph. Even if you don't understand the question, right? You can at least see a graph and figure out what they're even asking. Okay. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay. Let's just not practice any more of this right now. The topic of it. Mistake. Range. Okay. How do we find range? How do we find the range? So I'll give you 3 rules of finding the range. Okay. Just copy it from a book here. If domain, write it down. Write down the points. Okay, to find the range. If domain is an element of is a set of finite number of points. Okay, if the domain is a set of finite number of points, range will be corresponding f of x values. Corresponding f of x values. Okay, if domain is a set of finite number of points, then range is the corresponding f of x values. Right. Right. The second point. If domain is set of R or R minus some finite points, yeah, then express x in terms of y. This line sound familiar?
Yes, sir.
Where? How does it sound familiar?
Inverse.
Inverse.
Certain.
Exactly. Okay, I want you to connect it at the end. Okay, that's the point. When we learn inverse also, you should think, okay, this is nothing but range only. All right. Now here, once you do this, find y for x to be defined. Okay, x in terms of y, and then find y, or find domain of inverse. Now that you know what inverse is, right? Find domain of the inverse. Okay. Now, third part. If domain is a finite interval, like some random finite interval, find least and greatest value using monotonicity. Okay. All right, just taking the spelling. So, yeah. So I hope you guys didn't understand the third point. Did you?
No, sir.
Okay. That I'll explain later. Don't worry. Okay. We will be covering range fully. But let's look at the first 2 points today. Okay. Domain is a finite number of points. Range will be the corresponding f of x values. Is that somewhat clear? Like, suppose the domain is A, B, C. And range is okay, like this. So what is the range here? What is the range? How do you find the
1,
range?
2, and 3.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. That's it. So the domain is that. Like this is some function defined from this set to this set. Okay. So f of A will be 1. F of B will be 2. F of C will be 3. So the range is 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's the first point. Okay. Now the second point says, if the domain is the set of all real numbers or R minus some finite points, you have to express x in terms of y. Then find the domain of the inverse. As in, what are we talking about? We will find the inverse function. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'll define F inverse such that F inverse 3 is C, F inverse 2 is B, F inverse 1 is A. Okay, so this is the inverse function. All right. What is the domain of this inverse function? That will be the range of the previous function, right? The original function. Okay. So you already know how to find domain. That's the point I'm trying to say here. Since you know how to find domain, if we find the inverse and find that one's domain, we have the range of the first equation. Are you following?
Yes,
Guys,
sir.
are you getting correct or not? I'll explain again if you need. That's right.
Got it, sir.
Guys, please ask if you're not getting this. Okay? It is pretty important. Like, why is this even working? Okay, because okay, so we'll do range problems in the next class, but I want to discuss a little more on inverse. Okay. Now, okay, let's do a little discussion on inverse. A, B, C, D. Okay. For that, first I have to discuss what a 1-1 function is. Is this a 1-1 function? Do you know what a 1-1 function is?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is this a 1-1 function?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any doubts here?
No, sir.
Okay. Is this a 1-1 function?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Why?
Because it's many to 1, sir. 2 to 1.
Because many items like C and D are pointing to the same item, many to 1. Okay, you should understand what this is. Many pointing towards the same one. Okay, so this is not 1-1 anymore. All right. So the 1-1 function. Next is on-to function. So 1-1, I'll just give the classical definition. If I say f of x2 is equal to f of x1. Okay. If f of x2 equal to f of x1, then necessarily x2 and x1 should be the same element. Okay. Two things, x2 and x1, cannot point to the same value. Okay. That's the idea. If you input two things, okay, it cannot point to the same thing. So if I get f of x2 equal to f of x1, then you're talking about the same point only. That's the trick here. Got it? This is a 1-1 function. Are you following this or not? Fully. I don't want half of people following it. Like, I want you to follow this fully. Are you following this?
Yes, sir.
Or is there any confusion? Yes, ask.
No doubt, sir. Got it.
Okay. Right. Then we'll discuss onto. Is this an onto function?
No, sir.
When is it onto?
All elements of codomain are mapped domain.
Okay, codomain should be the range. Okay, then only it's onto. All right. Like so, when I remove 4 and 5, this becomes onto. But this is not 1-1. Okay. If I keep 4 and I move this to this side, is this 1-1?
Yes, sir.
Is this onto?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so such a function is called 1-1 onto function. Okay, I just quickly explain what onto is. So I hope I did justice to that topic. But did you get the idea here? This is a 1-1 onto function. Now, for an inverse to exist, okay, for the inverse of function to exist, f has to be 1-1 and onto. Okay. Can you tell me why should the inverse not exist if it's not 1-1? Or why does it have to be 1, 1 for the inverse to exist? Inverse is also a function, okay? It's like defining a function. Why does it have to be 1, 1 for a function to exist as an inverse function? What will happen? Why does it have to be 1, 1, guys? Guys, if you don't know, say I don't know. It's okay, I'll explain. I need some response. I'm talking to a camera here. You have to understand that.
So can
Okay.
you repeat the question, sir? And
Yes, thank you. All right. So we have A, B, C, D in our first set. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 in our second set. I'm defining a function from A to B, F, such that it is 1, 1. Okay. Now, I'm saying that for the inverse of a function to exist, which means from B to A, I define F inverse. For inverse of F to exist, the function necessarily has to be both 1, 1 and onto. So before I ask you the question, I want you to iterate this in your head. Okay. The function has to be both 1, 1 and onto for an inverse to exist. Now, my next question is, why should it be 1, 1?
Sir,
First
when
part
you-
of my next question is, why should it be 1, 1 for the inverse to exist? Why?
Sir, when you map it from B to A, and if it's many to one, from B to A, it will have two images. So if it has two images, it's not a function.
Okay, guys, watch carefully. What he said is absolutely right. Okay. So this is a many one function. Agreed? Guys, I need everybody responding. This is almost the end of the
Yes,
class.
sir.
That's
Yes, sir.
okay. From here, this is a many one function. Now, what is the reverse mapping? F of 1, F inverse 1 is A. F inverse 2 is B. F inverse 3, is it C or D? Which one?
see, sir. No, wait. Oh, it's two.
Both, sir. It's
not a function now. Okay. You remember function, right? Like it should
yes,
have
sir.
like one element in the domain cannot have more than one element mapped to it in the codomain. Okay. So this problem is eliminated if it is already 1, 1. Got it? Okay. That's why we need it to be 1, 1. The two pre-images will not come. Sorry, two images won't come for the same pre-image. Like pre-image is on this set right now. Okay. Alright, so this is why we need 1, 1. Now, why do we need onto? Why do we need onto?
Sir, when we take it from B to A, some of the elements in the domain will be missing. The function will not be defined.
Lovely. Okay. I'm so happy you guys are understanding this. Okay. So, if it wasn't onto, right? Okay, what will happen? What is F inverse 2? What is F inverse 3? It's not defined. Okay. It's undefined. So F is not a function. This is the domain, this is the range of the inverse function. Okay. All points in the domain should have an image. That is the other condition of function. And that is taken care of by making it onto. Got this?
Yes, sir.
If you didn't get this, please ask. This is important for this chapter. I'll be basing my explanations also based on this. So, if you have any doubts, please ask right now.
No doubts.
No doubts? Okay. I'll do one thing. Okay, so this was about the inverse function. It should be 1, 1 and onto for inverse to exist. Okay. All right. Now, only if it's 1, 1 and onto, okay, can we find the domain of the inverse? Okay. So just keep a side note here also. Domain is R and then this thing, make sure it's 1, 1 and onto as well. Even that is same thing is used here, but yeah, we'll get there. Okay, let's solve a question. Right? Find the range of. I am not going to start with easy questions now. Okay. I think we have enough to level up a little bit, not to challenge ourselves a bit. Okay. Try this question, come on. Okay, guys, one thing. Did I tell you this? Any x can be represented as integral part function plus fractional part function. Have I mentioned this in the previous class?
I don't think so. What's it?
I don't think so. Okay. Even I didn't think so. That's why I was asking. Okay. So know this, okay? Any x, any value like 6.5 can be represented as integral part, which is 6 plus fractional part, which is 0.5. Okay. What about minus 6.5? Sorry, let's take another number. Minus 6.1. Okay. What will that be? What is the integral part of minus 6.1?
Minus 7.
Minus 7. So what will be fractional part of x here?
0.17.
No. 0.9. We already did this in fractional part function. Don't forget. Okay. So you can understand now why it is 0.9, right? For negative values. It's 1 minus the expected fractional part, something like that. Think like that. Okay. You're expecting 0.1, but in actuality, it is minus 0.1. Okay. Think like this. And fractional part function has to return a value between 0 and 1. Okay. So what do? You simply add 1 to this. You will get 0.9. Got this? Right. To bring it between 0 and 1, I simply add 1 to it. Okay. So don't think of it as plus 0.1. Think of it as minus 0.1. Then you can easily get 0.9 in your answer because you already know that fractional part of x lies between 0 and 1. Okay. On that note, this will become fractional part of x divided by 1 minus fractional part of x. Okay. No, 1 plus fractional part of x. Okay. Now try. Find the range. This is not a question I taught you. This is not something I taught you how to do. Okay, this is something I want you to try to do. If you don't get the answer, I want you to keep trying something. So whenever you see x minus g of x, immediately substitute it with fractional part of x. Got it? Not that part?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's do this. Come on.
Sir, is it from 0 to 1?
There you go. No, but you're close. You're not too far away. Are you talking about x? Did you find the domain here?
No, sir. No.
No, domain will be R. Okay, that's it. So, can you, if you don't mind, can you please tell me what steps you used here to get 0 to 1? I'll find the mistake and then try to correct. That's it. If you don't mind.
Sir, I just took an example of a fractional part and then substituted.
Hey, no. Don't do all that. Right now, we are solving honestly. Okay, solve honestly. In an exam hall, that's where you solve like a crook. Okay, you use all crooked methods possible to save time. Okay, but right now, this is the first. If this is the first time you're learning, solve it as honestly as possible. If not, then it's okay. All right, try different things out. So here, what do? We just cross multiply first. Okay, y plus y and part of x equal to. So you notice that the domain here is any real number. Okay, because this denominator cannot be 0. We have nothing to worry now. Okay, domain is any real number. Fractional part of that will be any number between 0 and 1. Now, what do we do when the domain is any real number? Express x in terms of y. But we don't have x. We have fractional part of x. But we can still deal with that. Okay, that's the idea here. If of x, fractional part of x I'll represent in terms of y. This will become y by 1 minus y. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I know that fractional part of y, x is between 0 and 1. Okay. So, I will write that y by 1 minus y is between 1 and 0. Got it?
Sir, is it 0 to 0.5?
Can you please explain the rest of the question? And then we'll end the class.
Just cross multiply.
Sorry.
Cross multiplier. It's working because it's positive, because the final answer is positive. But cross multiply is not a good step here, okay? Like the thing is, you don't know whether 1 minus y is negative or positive. Okay, because if it's negative, the sign will change. If it's positive, the sign won't change. There will be two cases there. Okay, don't do that yet. Look at this part first. Okay, y by 1 minus y greater than or equal to 0. I multiply this by minus 1. So it becomes y by y minus 1 less than or equal to 0. Okay. I mark the critical points 0 and 1. All right. If I put a huge positive value, this will be positive. This happens once. Wavy curve method. Okay. And then where is it less than or equal to 0? Where is it between 0 and 1? So this feeds me that y is between 0 and 1. I am not including it because if I put y equal to 1, the denominator will become 0. All right. So I'm not including that. Okay. Next. What is the next part? Y by 1 minus y is less than 1. What do we do here, guys, in such a situation? Wait, who answered me right now? Srivatsan, huh?
No, sir. It's me, sir.
No, tell your name, Siddharth.
Siddharth.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, Siddharth, what would you do in this case? Y by 1 minus y less than 1. Here, I think this is why you cross multiply, did you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, next time, be sure that this is positive when you are cross multiplying, or this is negative for sure. You should know. If you're not sure whether it's positive or negative, there can be two cases and the solution can be wrong. So it's a risk you took here. All right, paid off because y was positive. Okay, 0.5. All right. So here what we do is instead of cross multiplying, okay, guys, don't randomly cross multiply. Okay, I'm telling all of you. Rest of you, I'm sure. Okay, would have cross multiplied. Next. So I'll take this one this side. I'll make one side 0. Think like that, okay? Think of making one side 0. Then wavy curve method is applicable, right? You just need to put plus or minus. Okay, that's the idea here. So y minus 1 plus y divided by 1 minus y less than 0. I'll get 2y minus 1 divided by y minus 1. Basically, I'm multiplying by minus 1 this also. So the sign will flip. And then I get greater than 0. Now what do? I mark the points 1, 1 by 2, and so on. Okay. So when I put a huge positive value, I'll get positives. And then this will be negative and this will be positive. They are asking when is it what? Positive. When is it positive? When y is between?
Minus infinity to 1 by 2.
Okay, half is included here because it's the numerator. Okay. No. It's greater than 0. Half is not included. Greater than equal to 0, greater than 0. What did I write here? Greater than equal to 0. Da. Yes. 1 second. Okay, I marked it here. 2. Okay, good. So, minus infinity to half is not included. Okay. Half is not included. Then, along with that, 1 to infinity is also there. Okay. What is common between this and is the rest of my answer? And this. Yeah, 0 to 1. What is common, guys?
Half
Answer
is
will be 0 to half. Okay. I hope you got this. All right. So we were interested in this region and this region from the second case, and from 0 to 1 in the first case. Okay. So whatever is common is 0 to half. Okay. Just take care of that. Got this, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you didn't need to know what inverse was to solve this. But since you got the idea of inverse, you know what you're doing here. All right. That's the only difference. Okay. So I hope you got the idea today. All right. Please practice these problems again. Okay. Practice more problems. Practice your NCRT book. Finish it off first. That's your base. Okay. From there, you build everything up. All right. Whenever you practice, write it in your logbook how good you felt about that practice session. Okay. Mark yourself for each subtopic, for each topic. Actually, just mark yourself for each topic. Later, you can mark yourself for each subtopic. At least finish it off that way. Don't rate yourself for every subtopic. It's too tedious. But for every topic, like every chapter, you should have a rating for yourself. You should know what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. That's the agenda of this. All right, got this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then, yeah, that's it. That's it for today's class. We'll meet the next class. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye.